Friend, let me pull up my chair and talk to you real close because this one's important. You know, I've lived 80 long years, and in those years, I've seen more hearts than most men ever will. Not just broken ones, not just romantic ones, but the real beating kind. I was a heart surgeon for decades, and I can tell you with a certainty sharper than my old scalpel, there's one habit that's been silently killing more seniors than any disease out there. And today, I'm urging you, no, I'm begging you to quit it right now. But before I drop this truth on you, let me take you on a little walk through memory lane. I want you to picture me back in the operating room. White coat, hands gloved, lights blinding overhead, and a team standing around me waiting for my word. Sometimes, friend, it felt like I was holding time itself in my palms. Because the moment I opened that chest, the truth of a person's whole life spilled out. Their choices, their joys, their regrets, written right there in the tissue of their heart. And you know what? So many of those hearts told the same sad story. Now, don't get nervous. I'm not about to scare you with gore. No. You're my friend, not one of my med students. But I will tell you this. There was one habit that showed itself again and again in the operating room. It wasn't smoking, though Lord knows that's bad enough. It wasn't even overeating greasy food, though I've pulled enough butter out of arteries to make a whole bakery proud. No, this one was quieter, sneakier, and seniors, especially seniors, cling to it like a favorite old sweater, not realizing it's slowly strangling the life right out of them. I'll tell you straight, but let's warm up first, because I want you to feel the weight of what I'm saying. Do you remember your 60s? You just turned 60 not too long ago, and let me tell you, those years are a tricky crossroads. Some people in their 60s sprint into new hobbies, travel the world, dance like teenagers. And some, well, they sink into their recliner, remote in one hand, excuses in the other, and they don't get up until it's too late. And here's where my old surgeon's eyes light up like fire alarms, because that one habit, the one I'm begging you to quit, is sitting too much. Yes, friend, sedentary living, the killer in disguise, the quiet destroyer, the habit of letting your body rust while your mind says, I'll move tomorrow. Now, before you laugh and say, Paul, are you kidding me? Sitting? That's the big secret? Let me stop you, because I've seen more arteries clogged, more hearts weakened, and more lives cut short from this so-called harmless habit than you'd believe. People think they're safe because they're not smoking or drinking, but hours on end in that chair, that's as dangerous as lighting up a pack of cigarettes every day. Picture this. I had a patient once, George, 72, good man, smart as a whip, retired accountant, but he loved his chair. Doc, he'd tell me, I've earned my rest. 40 years with numbers, and now I just want my recliner, my crossword, and my TV. And do you know where I saw George again? On my operating table, heart split open like an old leather wallet, clogged tighter than downtown traffic at rush hour. He didn't make it, friend. And it wasn't the bacon sandwiches that killed him, it was the hours upon hours of sitting still. Now, let me pull you back into my living room here. Do you feel that? That little chill? That's not me trying to scare you, that's me trying to save you. Because the truth is, every extra hour you sit past a certain point, your risk of heart disease climbs like a thief on a ladder. Blood pools in your legs, circulation slows, arteries stiffen, sugar levels spike, and before you know it, your heart's begging for help. But here's where it gets juicy. The body, even at 60, 70, 80, is begging to heal itself if you let it. The same heart that's been sluggish for years can spring back with more life than you'd think possible. I've seen 80-year-old patients who gave up the sitting habit and outlived their doctors. I've seen widows who thought their best years were behind them pick up dancing and suddenly find not only health but love again. And friend, you and I, we don't have time to waste because let's face it, at our age, the calendar isn't as full as it once was. But the time we do have, that time can be golden if we guard it. And guarding it starts with one thing: moving. Even if it's just standing up every half hour, even if it's just walking to the window and back, that tiny action is worth more than any pill I've ever prescribed. Now I know what you're thinking. Paul, you're 80. Do you even practice what you preach? And let me tell you, friend, I sure do. You know how I start my mornings? Not with coffee, though I love the smell. Not with TV. I start it with 10 minutes of moving these old bones. Sometimes it's stretching, sometimes it's walking circles in my garden, sometimes it's just waving my arms around like a fool until the blood starts pumping. And let me tell you, it works. My doctor tells me I've got the heart of a man 20 years younger. I laugh and say, "Doc, I'll keep that heart as long as you don't make me pay rent for it." I'll pause here because if you're still with me, then you're my kind of listener. And friend, if you're finding this story hitting home, do me a small favor. Like this video, drop a comment telling me how you're staying active, and subscribe so you and I can keep having these talks. Because trust me, you don't want to miss the rest of what I've got to say. All right, now let's dig deeper. I told you sitting was the killer. But let's talk about why it's so easy for seniors to fall into the trap. It's not laziness, not really. It's loneliness. It's fear. It's the voice in your head saying, "I don't want to fall. I don't want to look silly. I don't want to try." I've heard it all, friend, but let me tell you something. Fear of moving is worse than moving itself, because the less you move, the weaker you get. And the weaker you get, the more dangerous moving becomes. It's a vicious circle, and the only way to break it is to stand up, literally stand up, and say, "Not today." And don't think I'm sitting here on a high horse. I've had my days when the couch was sweeter than honey. I've sat through marathons of old westerns that turned me stiff as a board. But I know better now. I know every time I choose the chair over my legs, I'm gambling with my life. And friend, I've got too many stories left to tell you to waste on that bet. Let me give you another one. Her name was Margaret, 78, sharp tongue, never missed a church bake sale, but her knees hurt, so she stayed in her armchair more and more. One day she came to me with shortness of breath. We ran the tests, and her heart looked like it had been through 10 wars. I asked her about her days, and do you know what she told me? "Paul, I don't do much anymore. I just sit and think about what I used to do." That broke me, friend, because the heart doesn't care what you used to do. It only cares what you're doing right now. You see, moving isn't just about muscles. It's about memory. It's about mood. It's about waking up and feeling alive. When you move, your heart thanks you. Your brain lights up. Even your bones sigh in relief. And when you don't, well, the rust sets in. So let me ask you, are you ready to fight the rust? Are you ready to quit the habit that's quietly stealing years from you? Because if you are, then I promise you the reward is bigger than you can imagine. Friend, let me continue where I left off, because this is where it gets real. The habit of sitting too much isn't just about dying earlier. It's about living smaller. And at 60, 70, 80, none of us should be living smaller. We should be grabbing life by the collar and shaking every bit of joy out of it. Think about it. When was the last time you danced in your kitchen just because the radio played your favorite song? When was the last time you walked around the block and actually looked at the clouds instead of the TV screen? That's what movement gives you back. It gives you those tiny, beautiful moments that make life worth living.
Now, let me confess something to you. A few years ago, I had a scare myself. I was 76, feeling on top of the world. Then one morning, I woke up and couldn't catch my breath. My daughter rushed me to the hospital, and wouldn't you know it, I was the patient this time. Lying on that gurney, looking up at the same lights I'd stared under as a surgeon, I realized I wasn't invincible. The doctor told me straight, "Paul, you've been sitting too much. If you don't change, you won't make it to 80. That hit me harder than a hammer on glass. But instead of sulking, I got moving. I started small, walking to the mailbox, then walking past it, then walking around the block. Every step felt like a victory. Every step felt like I was choosing life over death. And you know what? I'm still here telling you this story because I chose to quit that one habit. And don't you think for a second that moving means you've got to run marathons. No. You don't need to sweat like a teenager at a rock concert. All you need is to keep your body in motion. Stretch when you wake up. Take the stairs if you can. Dance when nobody's watching. Even gardening, sweeping the porch, cooking, those things count. They keep the blood moving, the heart pumping, and the years adding up in your favor. I had one patient, 85 years old, who swore by dancing every night in her living room. No fancy moves, just swaying to old records. Her heart was strong, her smile brighter than the sun, and she outlived her husband by 20 years. When I asked her what her secret was, she laughed and said, "Paul, I never stopped moving." That's the lesson, friend. Movement is medicine, and sitting, too much sitting, is poison. You don't need a prescription for this cure. You just need a little willpower and the decision to get up. Now, let me crack a little joke here because I can see the worry on your face. Don't think I'm asking you to trade in your favorite chair. I've still got mine. It creaks louder than my knees, but it's my favorite spot. The trick is to treat that chair like dessert, not the main course. Sit in it, enjoy it, but don't make it your whole day. Stand up, move around, let your chair miss you for a while. And let's not forget the mind. You know what happens when you sit too much? Your brain slows down too. Blood doesn't flow the way it should. Oxygen doesn't reach the brain, and suddenly you're forgetting names, dates, and what you had for breakfast. Movement sharpens the mind like a knife on stone. I've seen seniors who couldn't remember their own grandchildren start moving again and regain their clarity. That's no miracle, it's biology. The brain needs the body, and the body needs the brain. Let me share another laugh with you. A friend of mine, Harold, 90 years old, decided to start moving again. His choice of exercise? Chasing his cat around the house. He swore it kept him young, although the cat wasn't so thrilled. But you know what? Harold's still kicking, still smiling, still telling jokes. And that's all because he refused to let sitting win. So, my dear friend, let me wrap this up with a plea from an old man who's seen too much. Quit the habit of sitting too much. Stand up, even if it hurts at first. Walk, even if it's slow. Move, even if it feels silly. Because every step is a step toward life, and every hour you spend moving is an hour you're giving back to yourself. And remember, I'm not just saying this as Paul Walker, your 80-year-old friend. I'm saying it as a heart surgeon who's looked into the human chest and seen what this habit does. I've watched hearts stop that could have kept beating. I've held lives in my hands that slipped away too soon, and I don't want that for you. I want you to live long, laugh loud, and dance as if the years never caught you. So, friend, let's make a deal. Tomorrow when you wake up, before you reach for the remote, stand up, stretch, take a few steps, smile, and whisper to yourself, "I choose life today." Because the truth is, you're not too old to change, you're not too old to move, and you're certainly not too old to quit the one habit that's been robbing you blind. Now, if you've stayed with me this long, then you've got the heart of a warrior, and I thank you for listening. Don't forget, like this video, drop a comment sharing how you're going to get moving, and subscribe so we can keep sharing stories together. Because, friend, I've got a lifetime of wisdom left, and I want to spend it with you. So, stand up, shake off the rust, and remember, your heart isn't just an organ, it's your life's drummer. And as long as it's beating, the music's not over. Don't let sitting steal the song.